Retro.
What's up, guys? This is Daniel Logan, Boba Fett from Attack of the Clones, The Clone Wars, Book of Boba, Skywalker Saga game, and hopefully many more things in the Star Wars galaxy. You are listening to Jay and Dennis on Podcast Stardust. Yep, this is the way I've spoken.
Welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm on the mend, and I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jay Krebs, and I'm glad you're back, Dennis.
Thank you so much. All right, it's Friday. Time to wrap up the week with a look at some recent Star Wars news. But before we get into that, Jay, you want to remind everybody where we can be found on social media?
Of course, it's my pleasure as always. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
All right. The dish is aligned. The signal is boosted to maximum output. The shield is down. We are now broadcasting to the galaxy. So, yeah, you can probably still hear my voice. I'm still a little sick. Getting over it. I'm doing a whole lot better. Thank you all that reached out to me after you heard about the World Between World episode that aired earlier this week. And I sounded all kinds of bad. We recorded that over a week ago.
Aw.
Yeah, but I have heard from a few people, and I do appreciate that. I am hoping to make through all of this without doing a whole lot of coughing, but we'll see. I'll take it out in editing if I can. But it's been a long couple of weeks. But I am, Jay, and you and I just spent a whole lot of time off mic catching up.
Yes.
Because last week it was just a matter of getting the podcast out.
Exactly.
And a whole lot's happened in the past few weeks. So we were filling in each other on our lives and what we've been up to and stuff like that. But how you doing? What have you been up to Star Wars wise these past couple of weeks?
Really a whole lot of nothing, actually. I just started a part-time job, though. So what I'm trying to do is looking for fun things that are Star Wars collectibles or Star Wars related. It's a very long story, and of course, you know all about what it is, but it's essentially working through like a whatnot store. And so, yeah, so there's so many fun things that come through there. And so I've just been keeping my eye out. So who knows? Maybe something will show up on a future edition of World Between Worlds. How about you?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I just had a birthday this past week, and my brother and my niece were in town. They came in to see The Mandalorian and Grogu, and I took them to see that. My niece loved it. That was the whole goal of the thing, and we'll be talking about more about that in about a week and a half. We're going to do another episode kind of revisiting The Mandalorian and Grogu now that it's had a opportunity to settle down. We're not having like hot takes. Not that we'd had hot takes before. That's not our thing. But you know what I mean. Just an opportunity to reflect with distance and time, an opportunity to reflect. But in preparation for their visit, the recording studio that I'm in now, I had to clean it out, and I had to go deep into my closet, and I found a whole like bunch of old stuff. And I didn't make a list of things, but I found like the park map and the flyer from Galactic Nights when I was down at Disney or Orlando, I should say, in 2017 for Star Wars Celebration. So that was kind of cool. I've had the poster and the badge from that evening hanging up here in my office for quite some time, but getting the opportunity to flip through the brochure and see like where all the different little, for lack of a better description, like living dioramas were, where you could like put yourself in the trash compactor and get pictures and stuff like that. That type of stuff taken was cool. And there was a few other like knickknacks from Rancho Obi-Wan that I got when I went to Halloween back in 2015. A lot of stuff like that that I found in the closet buried underneath stuff. I sent my niece home with a few action figures that I didn't even remember I had anymore. But as like
that's a cool surprise.
Yeah, she'll get more use out of this and then I will. And so that was fun to do. Went through, I finally figured out where a bunch of my autographed pictures are. So Ian McDermott and Sam Witwer and the like. And now I've got those in a safe place, and I just need to get around to actually getting all that stuff framed and hung up on the walls. So Did a lot of reorganizing, but I really now need to like go through the art and redo my walls here. So I'm looking forward to
Oh,
doing
that's
that
fun.
sometime this summer
That'll
as well.
definitely be a terrific little adventure for you. That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? One thing for me, and I don't know how this completely slipped my mind because it was so much fun, is I did get to visit via Zoom call Craig Dickinson's classroom.
Oh
He
yeah.
does this thing every year with his students at the end of the school year. He's a middle school teacher, and they get to watch Star Wars, and then they come up to the mic and rapid fire some questions. So Craig's going to be editing. There's a whole bunch of us that got to do it. Unfortunately, Dennis, you ended up not being one of them because of your sickness. But which is what's really weird is that I took your slot, and then
Yes.
the
Thank you so much
slot.
for doing that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a good thing that I did because as it turned out, for whatever reason, I was supposed to be in the next slot and something happened and he wasn't able to do it. So he was asking, "Oh, can you come back at such and such a time?" And I had to go to work. So I was like, "Oh no, I can't." So it was a good thing that I took your spot because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it at all. So look for that on a future episode of Reading Between the Reels with Craig Dickinson. So that'll be coming out very, very soon. And it was so much fun. The kids had so many great questions, and I'm sure I took way too long answering each one of them, but I was just so excited. So it
Yeah,
was
that's a
fun.
fun
Yeah.
show to do. I've done it a couple times in the past, and I felt terrible not being able to do it at the beginning of this week. But you had suggested, yeah, after we recorded a week ago this past Thursday, like, hey, if you can't make it, I'll cover your slot. And I was like, I was hoping and praying that I was going to make leaps and bounds in my recovery. And I felt like I was going to, but
Mhm.
over the course of that weekend, my voice just it got better on Friday, then it got worse. And then
Oh,
on Sunday afternoon, I was just like, I can barely talk without coughing right now. And Monday, I would not have been able to do it at all. I was a wreck. And it's just been like that. It comes and goes. And so I'm doing better now than I've done for a while, but I would not have been able to cover that session. And I would just would have coughed through the whole thing. So
yeah.
anyway, I
Bummer
do
you didn't get to
appreciate
do it. Of course.
yeah, and yeah, Craig was very appreciative that you stepped in. I remember because I communicated with him that you had volunteered to cover it, and so he was he was really appreciative of that. I know. So
Yeah, it was a
um,
lot of fun. Yeah, it
yeah,
stinks that you were sick for your birthday, but so glad that you're back tonight to cover the news. And then we've got 2 other episodes, of course, that we're gonna be dropping here as well coming up.
right, right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some news then. And we have a tradition in the publishing world that Timothy Zahn's Thrawn series gets special editions of all the books that are coming out. And the Thrawn, the first book that was introduced in the current canon, is now getting that same treatment. Coming from Random House on October 27th is a special edition that will feature a removable slipcase with a Star Destroyer shaped cutout, a hardcover, full wrapped illustrated bookcase with all new art of Grand Admiral Thrawn, designed sprayed edges. So this is beyond like the blue or red edges that they put on previous editions of some of these special edition books. This is like
Mhm.
a chimera pattern that they're doing. I looked at that. And then it's going to have illustrated full color end papers. I think full color is kind of an exaggeration from the preview video they gave out. It is like the Chimera, his Star Destroyer that's in there, and it's mostly in a blueprint style that's largely blue and white. But
Right.
regardless, there it
Mhm.
is. And
Mhm.
then there will be a satin ribbon marker, and you can get pre-order this on Amazon for $50 right now. I think is very cool. I know there are some like real big Thrawn fans that will be salivating over their opportunity to get this. It's a pass for me. I'm happy with my first edition of the book, but what do you think, Jay?
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, anyone
Mm.
that's a big Thrawn fan, and of course we're both big Thrawn fans, but I'm with you. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that for the money, if I'm going to get a collectible, I don't know if this is going to necessarily be it. I have
Mhm.
all the books, obviously, and I do have the one special edition that has Anakin and Thrawn on it that was signed by Timothy Zahn, so that's really cool. But yeah, this is really awesome. I mean, for anybody that's super into this and wants this type of collectible, it is beautiful
Yeah.
and it's very impressive. And it got its own trailer, which
Right.
There's not very many books that can say that they get their own trailer on YouTube. So I think that that's in and of itself says a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's weird because like this didn't make a lot of the rounds on the various news sites. It was through an email from Penguin Random House and Star Wars that I got that was made aware of this. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I checked it out, and yeah, there is that video, little trailer for it. And so, it's it's a situation where we all have our own collectibles, and I do collect books, but I tend not to collect more than one version of the book, and I hope to have like the first edition of the book. Now, the problem with that is that I started that collection when I was in high school, and then sometime around college, I sold all my Star Wars stuff. And then for years, I wasn't reading it, and then I was getting like the paperback editions after the hard edition, back edition had already been out. So I was already down that trail, second, third editions, and that's a big chunk of my collection. That's fine, whatever. But since then, like almost all of the canon, I have first editions of. And that's kind of like the chase for me is getting those. And sometimes if I'm in half price books, I'll go to the Star Wars section in their science fiction area of the store, and I'll look through things to see if they have a first edition of something. And if I don't have that, I might pick it up. It's not paid off much, but whatever. It's neither here or there. A lot of those, sometimes those first editions will go for like $100, $200. But at any rate, but anyway, so, but this is a cool edition of the book. And if you are a big Thrawn fan, I could see this being something that would be worthwhile adding to your collection.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just thumbing through some of the comments over on YouTube too, and it's definitely pretty collectively excitement, going through there. And it was kind of interesting. One of the people said, just be careful, the sprayed edges can come off on your hands. So keep this as a shelf trophy, which I would think that if you're going to pay that kind of money for this, that's probably what you're going to do anyways.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, good advice. And then somebody else says, nice. Can we get new Legends books too? Could you imagine like the Darth Bane trilogy and something like this? Now that I might have to consider because of course,
okay, at the risk of sounding like a snob or something worse, but that would make perfect sense for you, right? Because that's like the one of the top half dozen, if not top 3 things that you like in Star Wars. And so I would be more tempted to buy a Darth Bane special edition than I would a Thrawn. It's not that I don't dislike Thrawn, but I too appreciate Bane more than I do the Thrawn series in there. And so I'm with you on that. There's a few books I would consider doing this for. As much as I like that Thrawn book, it's just not my top 10. It's not, maybe not my top 15 at this point. So it would be, I would save that type of investment for a different book, I think, is what it comes down to.
No, that's totally fair. And I'm curious, our listeners, what books would you like to see given this kind of special edition treatment? So hit us up on our Instagram or Facebook at Podcast Stardust, or drop us an email because I want to know.
Right. I'm trying to think. I actually have 2 copies of Darth Bane Path of Destruction. One is the original edition of the book, and then I've got the Legends edition of the book.
Nice.
And then the other one that comes to mind that I have 2 copies of is Light of the Jedi, but that's because as part of Charles Soule's Kickstarter for a different book that he wrote, you could get an autographed copy of other books. And so I have an autographed copy of Light of the Jedi. No, it's not a first edition, but that's okay. It's autographed, so it's in my collection, and I like that. He's probably my favorite current Star Wars author.
So good. So
okay. Good. Well, speaking of other audiobook type news, I don't know how this got past this, Jay, but Cavan Scott put out a new audiobook / audio drama back on April 30th called Star Wars Terror on Mustafar that I was completely unaware of until I came across a couple of reviews in the past couple of days. And it seems to be in the vein of his Tales from Mustafar, Tales from Jabba's Palace. It's a little bit more, it leans into the spooky Star Wars stuff that he likes to do. And it's aimed at a family audience, but you can get it on Audible it's 3 hours and 49 minutes long. The synopsis reads: Imperial cadets are in awe of the Empire's mightiest warrior, Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. But when a few young cadets find themselves trapped on the lava-filled planet of Mustafar, in the shadow of Vader's castle, they will soon discover that the Empire is not what it seems. Now they must work together to escape from an evil scientist, his horrendous experiments, and the fearsome Darth Vader. And like I said, based on a number of reviews that I've read, it seems like this is very much I don't know that middle grade's quite the right description, but it's very much a family-friendly type of a story. So did this slip your attention too? Because
Oh yeah.
for something that came out on April 30th, I was like, how am I just hearing about this now?
Yeah, when I looked at our notes for tonight and you put, were you aware of this? No, I was not. But I did listen to, I don't know if you did, but I listened to the little preview that they had available as well. So Mark Thompson is the narrator for this book. So of course we know Mark Thompson very well as one of the narrators for Star Wars for sure. But Cavan Scott, I mean, hey, sign us up. I think we might have to do this one at some point.
Yeah,
especially if it's, kind of a Halloween. Yes.
Is a goal for this one without knowing too much more
Jinx,
about it. So
you owe me a blue milk.
okay. All right. Well, we've got a potpourri of news that falls into our other category here. Starting off with, there is a new gameplay trailer for Zero Company, and this is the single-player turn-based tactics game. I think it's coming out from Bit Reactor, Lucasfilm Games, and Electronic Arts. It's set during the Clone Wars, and I don't know. They built this as a gameplay trailer. I'm not sure how much gameplay we actually saw. There was a little bit of it in there, mainly looking at an R5 unit, like throw bombs at things like. And anyway, kind of reminded me of Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit. It's a turn-based game, and when you want to do an action, you can see the area effect with whatever action you're going to use, and that's interesting. But the thing that stood out to me more was some of the information that we got from the game is that you play as former Republic officer Hawks, who you can customize from 8 different Star Wars species, including Devaronian, Human, Nymodian, Avizian, think Bulio from The Rise of Skywalker, Togruta, Twi'lek, Weequay, and Zabrak. And then you get a number of allies that you recruit. They're operatives in this world, I guess this mercenary world that you're operating in over the course of the game, that include a disillusioned clone trooper voiced by none other than D. Bradley Baker. There is a Mandalorian from Clan Verminoth, a Tognath Jedi Padawan, and then there's several others as well. And the focus of the game is that you're hunting down the leader of a separatist-aligned cult named Kundry Fathom. So did you get an opportunity to watch this trailer? What did you think of all this?
Yes, I did. It actually came up on my suggested, for you things on YouTube about a week or so ago. And this looks so cool. And I think, your analogy to Baldur's Gate is spot on for sure. But what I really like about it is the fact that you can, and they show this in the trailer as well, that you can, as you said, customize your whole crew. And then they show these little flashes of all the different ways that you can shake up the dice, so to speak, and come up with these different arrays of teams. And that's what's really cool, because I think that lends itself into almost endless gameplay. You can play around with it, and you can redo certain things and go from there. So yeah, I think it's beautiful. The graphics look beautiful, and so I think anybody that's going to pick this one up is going to be having a lot of fun. And of course it's Clone Wars, so duh, one of the best eras ever. So
yeah, and the whole trailer ends with none other than General Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker making an appearance as well. So you're getting to run in with him. So that's pretty cool. And it's available on pretty much every platform that you're going to play it on, the exception of maybe the Nintendo Switch. But it's coming to PC, PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X and S, and it's available for pre-order now. And there's various extra cosmetic goodies you get for ordering it now. There's both a standard and a deluxe edition, and I don't remember all the differences between those, but if you're interested, you can find those things out pretty easily. It's an interesting game. I'd like to know just a little bit more about it, as in, you pointed out the replayability based on the team you built and stuff like that, and like the amount of customization you can do your weapons alone. Seemed like, they're showing all different kinds of scopes, stocks, barrels, and handles and that type of thing for some of the blasters and stuff like that. But one of the things, on record as being a big fan of Baldur's Gate 3 because there are so many different paths to get through that game. There's the same different areas, but there's so many different ways of coming over different obstacles, different side quests you can go on based on choices you made affects the ending of the game you get. And then there's like, the final resolution of the story is depending on what different characters and your companions do and this, that, and the other. I'm hoping for something like that, but that bar is so high that I'm not sure I really expect any game to clear it for some time. So I'm hoping for that type of a thing that you get the opportunity to really influence the world around you and make decisions, even though they're not really giving you the opportunity to necessarily like play for the separatists. It seems like this campaign really is about you doing work for the Republic. What choices do you make that impact how everything plays out at the end? I'd really like to know about that.
No, well said. Yeah. And what's really cool, I think, too, about this whole thing is that, like you said, there's with all those different options, I'm hoping that they also have a lot of story to follow as well. And I know in turn-based type games, obviously it's like a butterfly effect. So whatever you do is going to affect the next thing. So there's not really a story that you can follow, but because I really stink at playing games like this, I just like the stories. So
Sure.
I'll watch Colby Wine play it if he gets it, but yeah, and
Yeah.
stuff online. I think that'll be fun too.
Well, I'm probably going to go ahead and pre-order this and clear some space up on PlayStation 5 so that I can play it this fall, here and there whenever time presents itself. But
There you go. I'll
right.
live vicariously through you.
All right. So we also got a new trailer for Galactic Racer, which is coming out sometime. We're not exactly sure when, but it's arriving on October 6th. I'm sorry, but also on all the same platforms: PlayStation, the PC, Xbox Series XS, and it's a single player trailer. It shows you a bit more about your character Shade, who, and here's where I found more interesting is that there was a little bit of gameplay, but we've seen a lot of different gameplay and racing scenes and the like and stuff like that. But they tell us a little bit more about your relationship to certain characters. We knew Sebulba was going to be in this game, but it turns out that he's kind of like your benefactor, as far as I can tell, in this. And then there is also an Ardenian by the name of Hebe, and she is your mechanic and can offer you various different upgrades and alterations that you can make to your various vehicles, whether it's a speeder bike, a pod racer, or the like. There. And then we got to know a little bit about Kestar Bull, who is the antagonist of this game and the reigning champion that seems to have some sort of influence and things are going on around the galaxy. And yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. I don't know that I felt like I learned an awful lot, but this game is drawing nearer and nearer on it. What'd you think?
It is. And I've gone on record by saying that this one really has me excited to play if there's any out there, because I feel like this is more in my wheelhouse when it comes to maybe a little bit more of, my level of ability for video games, but I'm just so intrigued. I love the whole pod racing idea, and I love what they're doing with the idea behind the story and how this is all going to play out. And so for me, I would probably want to get it on PC, and I have no idea if I can use like different keys or if I need one of those stylus pads or whatever, but
Sure.
I really want to play this game. So this one I might have to get.
The only thing that bugs me about playing games on PC is knowing whether or not my PC is going to support it.
Mhm.
Because, that's the thing. If you get on PlayStation, your PlayStation is going to support it. That's great.
Right.
Same with Xbox. But if you get on PC, it's like, do you have a good enough graphics card? Do you have enough memory? Do you have enough RAM? Do you have, whatever the situation is? Do
Mhm.
you have enough
Good
space on your
point.
hard drive? This, that, and the other. So, anyway, I haven't made up my mind on this. I am not that interested in the player versus player element that this game offers with the racing. If it's got a good enough single player campaign that's worth investing in, then I might pick it up. But
Mhm.
if it really is going to be one of these things that really thrives on the multiplayer aspect, then it may be just something like with you and Zero Company. I go and watch the clips on YouTube at some point.
Sure.
So yeah,
That's fair enough. Yeah, I just get into these so much more, all the racing games. I mean,
sure.
going all the way back. Do you remember Night Driver with
Yeah.
Atari? Oh
Yep.
my gosh, I loved that, and that's one of the most
Where you're moving
simple
the
ones,
road, not your
obviously.
car.
Yes, it's so true. And
Yeah.
then, kinda going up through in Mario Kart and all those, and then, of course, the Lego pod
Yeah.
race with the oh gosh, on GameCube. We spent an entire summer, I feel like, down in the basement in the air conditioning just playing Lego Star Wars, and I always went back to the pod racing game, so that's my thing.
All right. In other news, as of the date of this recording, which is June 11th, so this comes out on June 12th, the Celebration staff just sent an email to everyone that purchased tickets, letting them know that merchandise is going back on sale. So if you want to pre-order some stuff, you can. And here's the rundown of what's happening. The pre-order period will begin on June 22nd, and it's only available to ticket holders. You're going to get an email with a password to access the store on June 18th, and it's good for one and one only transaction. So if you've bought tickets for multiple people or your friends, you need to coordinate with them in advance on what needs to be purchased and who's going to be doing the purchasing, because only one of you is going to get to do it, and you're going to get to do it once. The store will
Oh boy.
open, June 22nd at 12 p.m. Pacific time, and it will remain open to June 29th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So pulling back the curtain, Jay, you may and I may need to collaborate if you're wanting in this pre-order here.
Yes.
But at any rate, the items that you purchase will be sent to you with your badges. So that's the other thing. If you are
Oh.
ordering with friends, then you need to also work out how you're going to get their gear to them if you're doing the ordering. So anyway, have you had an opportunity to look at the merch, and has anything caught your eye?
Yeah, there's actually a few things in here that I'm is piquing my interest. Of course, I love the logo stuff just because it has the date on it, but quite honestly, it's not grabbing me as much as some of the other things are. I'm really liking that football jersey. There's a 50th anniversary football jersey for $80 that's just really unique. It's kind of a retro vintage feel kind of, football sweater. It looks more like, but it's like cream, and then it's got some stripes along where the elbows are, and then it says Los Angeles 27 on the front with Star Wars on the upper chest area. That one's cool. And then I love the Key Art Spirit jerseys because I love Spirit jerseys. I don't know. They just have a very special place in my heart. And I'm really digging the tracksuit pants. They're like a royal blue, but along
Yeah.
the side, think like the blood stripes almost. It looks like, at least from what I can tell, it looks like the Imperial like wall panels. Is that
Right.
what I'm
Yeah.
seeing there?
It's lighting
Because
in
you
the
can't
Death Star, right?
yeah, because you can't really, like, click on it to zoom in on it unless you,
No.
zoom in on that, but that's 65, and then and the T-shirts, some of the T-shirts are cool. I like the Tatooine OP T-shirt that has it's very, old-fashioned, reminds you of, like, 1970s, like an Eagles album cover is what it reminds me of. It's very cool. So, what about you? What stands out to you?
Here's the thing. I could have sworn I had pre-ordered some things, but I was looking back at my receipt from Celebration, and I cannot find any record on there of anything but purchasing tickets.
Oh,
So I guess I didn't, but that's fine. Here's the other thing, is that as cool as a lot of this stuff is, this is not everything that's going to be available in the store when you go to
right.
Celebration. And
Mhm.
I have always found that there's things in the store that I like better than what was available for pre-order.
Mhm.
But can you
Mhm.
bet on that happening this time?
Right. I was gonna say,
Is
yeah. Just like the
so
whole ticket debacle, there's
right.
who
And
knows?
the other thing that's happened in past celebrations is that even after they've run out of stuff at the store, they then open the store online for ticket holders to go in and purchase stuff afterwards. And frankly, that's how I got one of my favorite celebration shirts of all time. Two of my favorite celebration shirts of all time. I got the Mandalorian shirt from Celebration 2019 in Chicago, and I got the Dr. Aphra shirt from Celebration 2022 in Anaheim. That way, through the online store that happens afterwards. Okay, all that being said, at the bottom of the page, there are two shirts that I really like, and it's the Hollywood Death Star t-shirt and the Hollywood Suns t-shirt. The Death Star one, think of the Hollywood sign, and it's the Star Wars written in that same style, kind of like that staggered
Mhm.
writing, like it's on the side of the hill. The Death Star one's got obviously the Death Star in the background. It's on a kind of like charcoal gray background. There's a Lambda shuttle, And then the Hollywood Suns t-shirts has got the twin suns from Tatooine there, and it looks like it's more of a desert background. I like that gray green color that it's got there with the orange suns against it. I that color contrast is really speaking to me. I
Yes.
also am a fan of the key art here, and so I'm not sure if I want that on a shirt or if I want the poster or what the situation is. So, and then there's also something having about that 50 Star Wars logo too. So I
Right? I
can't get all
know.
this stuff. I've got so much Star Wars gear. It would be irresponsible for me to buy all these things. I've got more art than I can deal with, but you know, who says that I can't cycle the art out? So I don't know. But
Mm.
and that poster is only $10 and it's an 18 by 26. So that's probably going to be in my selection. And then I need to decide probably on a t-shirt after that.
Yeah, I like the key art is just so cool. The colors are cool. I mean, we've talked about it so often, so there's no sense rehashing all of it, but yeah, it's very awesome. I like that one too.
Yeah.
But I like
So
my art wearable sometimes, so that's why I think that's why the Spirit jersey is kind of speaking to me. I really like that Spirit jersey. And now we've just done a whole World Between Worlds.
well, we'll be able to talk about these acquisitions at some point
Oh,
in May
yeah.
of next year. So
Right,
April or May
right.
next year. So
Stay
um,
tuned.
right, yeah. But the other thing about this is that these are only limited to only available to a limited amount of people, and those are who have tickets right now.
Yes.
And unfortunately, here's the other problem: is we all know there was a big scalper problem with ticket purchases, right?
Mhm.
So people who end up with tickets that didn't buy themselves are not going to have this opportunity to get
Right,
these things. So
right.
I don't know. It's like I do appreciate them making this stuff only available to people who have tickets because there's probably limited supply. But at the same time, it's just like so many people are not given the opportunity to buy tickets because of the way they put the tickets on sale. So, okay,
Mhm.
we could spin off into another diatribe about that. So I'm gonna put a plug in that right there. But yeah, so yeah, you and I will talk offline about what if anything we want to get, and then we will make that
Sounds
happen.
good. Sounds
Okay.
good.
One last story. And it seems like a lot lately we've been having to say goodbye to some of our Star Wars luminaries, but this one's a big one. We have Marcia Lucas, the ex-wife of George Lucas, passed away at age 80. And I kind of feel bad that I just phrased it that way because beyond being George Lucas's wife, she was instrumental to the success of all the movies in the original trilogy. She was one of the key editors that worked on these films, and she won an Oscar along with two others for her work on Star Wars: A New Hope. And she did a lot of work for Lucasfilm over the years, including editing on American Graffiti, More American Graffiti, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And I don't want to get into the sordidness of her and George's separation, but as many experts will tell you, if it wasn't for her efforts and some of the other efforts of the editing team, Star Wars as we know it wouldn't even exist.
Mhm.
And in some corners, they've described the collection of film that George handed over for the editing process to be a mess. And if it had not been for hers and others' efforts in the editing process, the story would not have been comprehensible in that. And as much as we adore George, I think it's at her expense. And so this comes up, it seems like every 5-10 years, whatever, in the past. And like I said, I don't want to get into the sordidness of her and George's separation like that, but she is a luminary, and people that worked on that movie know how important she was, and it does come up in the sources that are behind there. It's a big loss, and Star Wars fans owe her a debt of gratitude for what she was able to do for this franchise.
Oh, indeed. I mean, Star Wars, like you said, it wouldn't be what it is today. It wouldn't be what it is, period, without her work and her dedication and passion. So she will definitely be missed. That's for sure.
Indeed, indeed. And I wish I knew more about her so that I could speak more eloquently about her accomplishments. But what I do know is tied to Star Wars because I am a Star Wars fan. And so, anyway,
Mhm.
um, rest in peace, Marcia Lucas. Thank you for everything that you contributed to Star Wars and our favorite projects from Lucasfilm. And I hope I can learn a little bit more about everything that she accomplished.
I agree.
Okay. Well, with that, I want to thank you all for joining us for the episode of Podcast Stardust and this look at recent Star Wars news. We hope you enjoyed it. And if so, and you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the podcast on your podcatcher of choice. We appreciate your ratings, reviews, and comments wherever you can leave those, where you listen to the podcast. And if you're looking for more in our back catalog beyond the 100 or 200 episodes that you're likely to find in your podcatcher, I invite you to go to retrozap.com, where you can find the entire catalog, including all previous 1,043 episodes. I'm going to turn over to Jay here for just a second. Thank you all for bearing with me. I've had to take a few mute breaks and things like that to cough here, and I'm about to do another one while Jay lets you know about where you can find us online. But I'm glad to be back on this. I missed being able to contribute more to the conversation last week. So Jay, take it away.
Absolutely, and so glad to have you back. It's always hard to do, an episode where you can't riff off of each other because we've been doing this for so long and it just doesn't seem the same. So you can check us out on our Instagram and Facebook at Podcast Stardust, and always check out our Pinterest boards that have tons of fun ideas for everything Star Wars. And if you are looking for yet more outlets to listen to the show, you can do so on YouTube and YouTube Music. No video, just audio, but you can also let us know what you think of the show, give us some comments, and also like, subscribe, and share that out with your friends as well. And then if you'd like to drop us a line, maybe something that doesn't quite fit into a social media comment or whatnot, you can do that at our email, which is podcaststardust@gmail.com. And if you want to get some of our merch, you can do so over on TeePublic. We have 7 different show logo designs available on all kinds of fun things. And most of it is apparel, but you never know what you're going to find. They seem to change things up over there. So check out that link in our show notes, and it'll take you right to where you need to go.
All right. What do you got going on in cosplay?
Actually, right now it's pretty quiet. Things have just kind of amped up for summer, and so I've got some other things going on, but hopefully getting some new content out there soon. But you can check all that out at my j.snips cosplay Instagram account. And I am typically Ahsoka from the Clone Wars seasons 3 through 5, but you can also catch me as 2 different versions of Hera, my 4th sister, my original concept Mandalorian, and some non-Star Wars things as well. So once again, check that out at j.snips cosplay.
Okay, upcoming on the show on Monday, we are getting back into the Clone Wars with a look at episode 21 from season 3, which is called Padawan Lost. I think I might have said in previous episodes that we're skipping those episodes because we had previously covered them here on the podcast as part of our Ahsoka series. That was actually not the case. Jay, we talked about those back on Starship Sabers and Scoundrels. So
That's crazy. It's been so long.
yeah. So that was like 8 years ago. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we're going to cover them anew here on this show. And then on Wednesday, it is the next installment of our The Force Awakens series. And we'll be picking up at 59 minutes and 45 seconds. And we'll go to about 1 hour, 11 minutes and 4 seconds. So if you want to preview that before this show drops, that would be great. Okay. Well, with that, thanks for listening to episode 1044 of Podcast Stardust. Have a great weekend. And until next time, may the Force be